edition of Straight Shooting Sports Talk, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. We welcome you back to another great edition where we're going to talk about some of the action around the league. I know you guys had some fun this weekend watching your team or maybe your team plays tonight. We have Bears and uh, Eagles tonight, but it was some great action. How about that Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay game, huh? That was a very, very good game. I thought Sam Bradford came out, looked very good. He looked solid, um, and really carried that football team. It was an unfortunate injury to AP. Looks like it's a torn meniscus, but that team looked pretty good on defense. Made Aaron Rodgers look average, and quite frankly, I think over the first two games, Aaron Rodgers has looked pretty average. I know Stephen A. Smith likes to call him that bad man. He didn't look so bad on Sunday night. He got neutralized. And I don't know whether it's just, he historically doesn't play very well against the Minnesota Vikings since Zimmer has been there. And I don't know whether Zimmer has his number or it's the schemes that Zimmer draws up, but he just doesn't seem to play nearly as well. Um, but I tell you, that was a great win for the Minnesota Vikings. Broncos, they pull out a tough one, but wears out for 4 to 5 weeks, broken arm. That's terrible. It seems like we've had a lot of injuries this year across the board. Woodhead with the ACL injury. Had McCown. Now that the Browns on their third quarterback, gonna have Cody Kessler come in. McCown with the shoulder, he's gonna be out. So Kessler's gonna come in. So now they're at quarterback number 3. So I mean, it's just stuff all across the league. I tell you what, though, if you're a Los Angeles Rams fan, and I tell you, I did not expect the Rams to come out with any not the fight that they had this weekend, not after that horrific loss to the 49ers on Monday night. They put up a fight. And I tell you, offensively, they didn't look, it wasn't anything spectacular. Case Keenum did a pretty decent job of trying to get the ball down the field, but they fought hard in a close game with the Seahawks. And I tell you, Russell Wilson didn't look that great. I think that ankle really is bothering him. But I tell you, that was a very good game. And if you're a Los Angeles Rams fan, you'll take a win any way you can get it. Hard fought game. That's old school football right there. Um, Busting heads and taking names in the trenches there. So that was a great game. I enjoyed that as well. Now, before we get into talking about the NFL's new initiative on player safety, I just wanted to touch on the NFC East matchup, Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, both teams, I believe, are fairly evenly matched, especially with Dak Prescott back there. And that's not a knock on Dak. Dak played an excellent game, just as he did in the first game. Looked very poised, and I tell you, the guy does not look like a rookie back there. And if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you have to be really happy with what you have in Dak Prescott. Him being a fourth rounder, which I thought he could have been higher. I don't think any of the quarterbacks should have went, first overall, second overall, but definitely a quality quarterback. And he's got his guys rallying around him. A quality running game, and they really did some things with Des Bryant, getting him the ball early, and really taking it to Breland again when they could. Um, Defensively, they didn't do such a bad job. Like again, they're not the greatest defense, but they definitely made plays when they needed to and Cousins gave you guys a gift in the end zone, which pretty much sealed the deal. Um, that was a horrible play, but it was a handsy play by Barry Church because we've seen gifts hit jokers right in the hands and them not catch it. So it was timely for him to be paying attention, reading the quarterback, and then making a play to catch the ball. Uh, Redskins have some work to do, and I don't think it's all Kirk Cousins' fault. But in the same token, he's not very confident. He's not making quality throws. I was speaking with a friend of mine as the game was going on, and he left 21 points out there on the field. You miss Jamison Crowder. You miss Deshaun Jackson twice. You miss Doxson. That should have been an easy touchdown. He had to come back for that. Uh, there's some points left out there on the field, but it definitely is not just Kirk Cousins. There's a lot to do with coaching. Play calling was questionable, but that game was winnable. The Dallas Cowboys did more to win that game, and hats off to them. And if you look at their schedule, I believe they've got like Chicago, 49ers. There's some tough games, some tough defenses coming up. So we're going to see what Dak is made of. But overall, you have to like what is going on there. And man, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're excited that you have something there for the future. Now to talk about this player safety investment here that Roger Goodell in the NFL is making. On last Wednesday on the Today Show, in an interview, they before that interview they had released a letter stating that they were uh, starting this new initiative of the Play Smart, Play Safe initiative. Now, this money that they were investing, which is $100 million, is going to go into research of medical research, player safety and development of new technology, and all of this is to help protect um, the players out on the field. And first of all, this is a no-brainer. This is a great investment. This is something that has been in the forefront, and they have taken measures in the past to help improve uh, player safety. Now, as the game is called, as far as the game is called, they have to do better. Now, I understand Goodell, in an interview with Matt Laurie, he said that he feels that they've made significant uh, improvements in the past and to further their research, and that they have done things as far as rule changes to in making safer equipment to make the game better, and they have. But making rule changes and not being clear on the rules that you have in place, and that there is a clear understanding with all the referees and their crews across the league is a huge problem. Because, see, you can have all the rules you want. And quite frankly, some of the rules that have been created are really the same rules that they have on the books, just worded differently. Now, it is imperative that each and every crew, each and every Sunday, Thursday, Monday, have a clear understanding of how things should be called. And there shouldn't be any gray areas. And see, this is where things get convoluted and all muddied up here when it comes to these defenseless receiver calls that the flags are thrown on. These um, heads or hits to the head of a quarterback when it's in those terms, or hits to the head of any player, the waters get a little muddy. There's a gray area, and there's no consistency on how those types of rules are being called across the board. And when you don't have a level of consistency on how things are called, then we don't have a consistency on how the players are, I guess, following those rules. So, what is important? I don't care what it is that they have to do, but there needs to be a constant effort throughout the season, uh, in the off season. And I know that they meet during the off season, but we continue to have these problems every year of referees not making the calls and not making the proper calls when it comes to rules that protect the players on the field. We look at Cam Newton in week 1 and the headshots that he took in week 1 that were not called. Then we look at the ones that are called where a guy's hand touches the helmet of a quarterback and we're receiving a, a roughing the passer call on that. But guys are delivering headshots and there's no call. We have the call, the Redskins game prime example of roughing the passer on a play where he was simply trying to make a tackle, tripped up and fell in the process of passing, and that was a roughing the passer call. I'm sorry. That's terrible. And those types of things change the outcome of the game for teams. And it's really not, if you're going to protect the players, you have to have a full understanding of the rules. And reason why this is important is because the having a full understanding of the rules is something that is visual. And people need to see these improvements because let's face it, mothers and fathers alike are very concerned about their children, their sons playing football because of these head injuries. So it's great that we're improving things from a background standpoint, from an equipment standpoint, from research standpoint. But the changes need to be visible on the field. Parents need to feel, along with the players, need to see visual change across the league and having a full understanding of rules and how they are enforced to protect the players consistently across the board, not just with certain players that we won't mention, but you know who they are. See, that this is going to help the league build, and it will encourage people to play more in Pop Warner League, in little leagues, all the way up to the NFL. And if we can do that, then we can improve the game. We can extend this legacy of generations and generations of individuals coming up and learning how to play football. Otherwise, football won't exist because people will be too unnerved of the dangers of playing football. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Again, we come to you every week, Monday through Friday, and we bring you a topic. If you have something you want us to discuss, shoot us the email to straightshootingst@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to put this on the show and talk about it. If you want to get at me, you can talk to me on Twitter at notbland21, and we can chat it up there. You can also hit us up on the Facebook show site at Straight Shooting ST on Facebook. So thank you so much and enjoy the game tonight.